Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is April 11th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop here. You can see the troughing approaching the Pacific Northwest as we speak. Here goes the remnants of that atmospheric river, mainly just clouds across California and Nevada. There's a bit of a low pressure system here that's pulling off to the east, bringing some windy conditions across Idaho, Montana, and this upper level trough is going to be with us today and tomorrow, sag south across Oregon and leave us in a cool northwesterly flow. Then we'll take a look at the extended forecast coming up here. We were talking about some ridging trying to get into the Pacific Northwest. It's still coming, but it is trending a little bit to the east here. We'll take a look at those details in a moment. Looking at Seattle yesterday, look at this, 47 degrees, 11 degrees below average, just over 2/3 of an inch of rain, and you can see our below average April continues, and this is probably going to continue on through the mid portion of the month as well. More on that here towards the end of the video. Here's the current hazards, some advisories and warnings, wind across Montana and some portions of Idaho. Some flooding concerns still going on with that precipitation and snowmelt, northeast Washington, Idaho Panhandle. This is the gusty winds out there. National Weather Service Missoula showing 50 miles per hour possible and 40 miles per hour shaded in the blue there. So watch out if you're out on those lakes or hiking or out and about across the region there. Here we go, the HER 3KM. This is composite reflectivity. There goes the frontal system. We got this convergence zone activity coming up just in the early afternoon here. Then it weakens as we go through the evening hours. And then you can see the spin in the atmosphere as this upper level low tracks across Oregon here. Going to be some low snow levels with this as well. Pretty chilly upper level low, and then you can kind of see the spin continue as we go on into late Wednesday night into Thursday as the low pressure system pulls off to the south and east. Now looking at the European, this is yesterday afternoons. So we'll put that into motion. The precipitation continuing that we've been having again this morning across the region. Upper level low, similar to the HER there, coming across Oregon. And we're going to have some of this, we have some lower snow levels down to 1,000 feet here or so. So you can pick up a few inches of snow across some of the Blue Mountains, Cascades of Oregon mainly as well. Higher terrain Idaho, Montana as we go on into Thursday morning. Another weak system slides through Thursday night. But then we go on to the weekend, and we thought we might warm up a little bit here, but you can see the system is pretty close. It's already impacting BC by the time we go into Friday night. By Saturday, it's going to be really close to western Washington and Oregon, and streaming clouds over the region, by the way. And then Sunday, it looks like kind of a rainy day here as we get almost an atmospheric river looking feature here, which we'll watch here over the next couple days. But you can see a pretty rainy day Sunday here, with some mountain snows, and you can kind of see this troughing off our coastline here, go off in the extended a little bit more, and the European showing a pretty strong storm out of the Pacific there with additional frontal systems, but that's kind of off in fantasy land. We'll watch that as we go. This is the special weather statement. Southwest Washington, Portland here, above 1,000 feet, may see about 1/2 inch of snow accumulation, so don't be surprised to see some flakes flying on the higher hills here over the next couple of days as this cold upper level low tracks across our area. Pacific, so this is like a Portland International actually. So we were talking about a little bit of a warm up coming this weekend, and now we're kind of backing off that again. It's kind of like Lucy stealing a ball from Charlie Brown there in the cartoon. We kind of got thrown for a loop here again, but at least we're picking it up a few days in advance, right? So we're going to look at this and potential warm up here as we go through later April and just not even worry about that right now. You can see there's still a lot of members that are chillier here as well. And yeah, when we've got this cold upper level trough, it's going to be over us as we go through early next week here as well. So here we go, Portland International, and look at these trends. You can see how we were looking like we might warm up this weekend, and then yesterday it really trended downwards, and yesterday afternoon even more so, as you can see some of these highs only into the mid-50s coming up here, which is just slightly below average. Here's Seattle, similar signal there, cold upper level trough, and then off in the extended, we are not going to pay much attention at all to that. Ensembles are kind of all over the place here, big ranges, low confidence. This is Seattle-Tacoma here, similar signal as what Portland had. And there, as you can see, we were looking like we might get into the upper 60s here. And the last day or so, we backed off dramatically on that, just keeping things below average here on through the weekend with precipitation possibly. Spokane. Now, the further you go east, the closer you're going to be to some of this ridge. And so you can see Spokane maybe in kind of squeeze out a nice day here, maybe Saturday and Sunday coming up before that upper level trough impacts much of the region here. Then the very uncertain extended forecast. This is Boise. Look at Sunday here. You might warm up quite nicely here. You could get up towards the upper 60s or even 70 degrees here. Again, the further east, the better the weather is likely to be here this weekend. Now, looking at the European on the left versus the GFS on the right, here's Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Same thing over here. This is that trough impacting us now, that cold upper level lows. It moves across Wednesday, stay in that northwest flow as we go through the day Thursday. Now we're going Friday morning, and you notice that this is why things are showing up as being cooler here west of the Cascades, especially as this ridging is not as robust, and this trough is pretty darn close here. Good agreement on the GFS and the European there. So put that into motion, and you can see that trough start to settle down over the region as we go through early next week coming up here. So we're likely to continue this cooler than normal weather here across Pacific Northwest for the most part. But again, you're going to have probably a little bit better of a weekend here east of the Cascades the further you go east. This is looking at dynamic tropopause. This is just kind of showing you where the heat transfer is taking place and where the upper levels of the atmosphere have lower heights or colder temperatures. So here goes the trough here, Tuesday, Wednesday, moving across Pacific Northwest. There's Alaska, Washington is there. Over here, you're looking at Japan and Russia. There's the Hawaiian Islands here. So as we put this into motion a little bit more, you'll see some of this heat transfer here occurring out over the Pacific Ocean, which continues to allow this troughing here over the Pacific Northwest. It's still a La Nina type pattern here across the region as we continue to get this heat transfer here, some ridging, and then the troughing downstream over the area. And we do have some warmer than normal water here still across the Western Pacific, and that's probably helping to keep this gradient going here and allow some of this heat transfer northbound here, and then we get this troughing here across Pacific Northwest. Now we're looking here at 200 millibars. This is way up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You see the trough impacting us now, and you can kind of see this ridging continuing to develop here across the central northern Pacific, which allows for that troughing to just remain very active here across the Pacific Northwest, keeping us in this below average regime all the way towards the end of April potentially, before maybe we'll start to get a change here. Who knows? This doesn't look much better, to be honest, as we go through the later portions of April here as well, as we continue to get some troughing with the strong jet stream pointed at the west coast there. So it's just something we'll watch here. That pattern can still change rapidly, but yeah, it looks like below average here for the foreseeable future. Now we're looking at the evolution across the equatorial Pacific here. You can see the warm up occurring here. This would be along the coast of South America. The water has warmed up dramatically here over the last 2 months or so. This is looking across the central Pacific. Niño 3.4 is where we measure these conditions. So this would be where we measure La Nina and El Nino, and we are spot on neutral, just normal temperatures here at Niño 3.4. You can see our climb out of La Nina on this graph here towards those temperatures there. Niño 1.2 would be right off the coast of South America, and some extremely unusually warm water is going on here, as we are likely headed towards a fairly robust El Nino coming up here. Now, this is the Western Pacific here. There's Australia. Here's the Hawaiian Islands. There's Mexico here. So you can still see how we have this warmer than normal water across some of the Western Pacific here. So we're not fully out of this La Nina type of pattern here just yet anyway, or at least we weren't for March on into April 8th there. Now, looking at the CFS forecast, you can clearly see it did pretty well. The models did pretty well with the climb out of La Nina towards neutral conditions here. And you can see the big signal towards El Nino conditions coming up. And I'm going to zoom in on this over here because this would be for May. This would be June, July, August. This red is above average here. You can see it extending across the equatorial Pacific. A fairly robust El Nino likely on its way as we go on into the fall and winter months. This is 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. West Coast included there. Some warmer than normal conditions, maybe across the Southwest. This is 8 to 14 day. This goes out through April 24th. A continuation with this cooler than normal weather here across much of the West. And if you guys want a home weather station that is affordable, I highly recommend this one. Click on the link below there if you want 10% off. I've been testing it against several other weather stations, both on my roof and in my backyard. I'm testing pressure, temperature, wind speed, all kinds of stuff. It's doing very well. It's very accurate. So click on that link below if you want 10% off there. But yeah, we're going to keep doing this troughing here, folks, and we'll watch these systems come in this weekend. We'll see how this trends, and we'll see what the future holds for us, of course, as we go day by day in these forecasts. But anyway, hope you guys are getting out and, don't let the rain stop you from doing anything. It's one of my main rules rules here. If I was going to go running that day, I go running anyway. That's just kind of the life you have to live here across the Pacific Northwest. You can't let the weather dictate what you're doing too much. So get out there and enjoy things regardless of what the weather is doing. And yeah, we'll just watch this forecast come in over the next few days, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.